Hi everyone, this is Mary and welcome to Super Skills for Grownups, Letter D edition. This week in our children's session we'll be talking about the letter D, how to form it, how to pronounce it, and our D word of the week is going to be duck. So we've got a duck here and some little ducklings. Our book is going to be Duck Duck and another D word, dinosaur. And that's written by Callie George and illustrated by Oriol Vidal. So those are what we're going to start with in our children's session. And we're also going to have a finger play about ducks. I want to talk a bit about finger plays and songs and rhymes, which most story times for young children do include. And the reason we include them is because they're important tools for developing early literacy. Children, if you use rhyme and rhythm, it helps children hear and isolate the smaller units of sound within a word. They'll hear it because it's emphasized because of a rhythm, or they'll hear it because it's repeated in the case of a rhyme. So hearing those smaller units within words, which are called phonemes, will help them to be able to isolate those and use them when they're going in the reverse direction, when they're trying to sound out words when they're learning to read. So songs, rhymes, finger plays, anything that uses rhythm and rhyme like that and repetition is really a good way to foster early literacy skills. It also, when we do a finger play, that also helps the child strengthen and work on hand-eye coordination, using their two hands together, sometimes using them separately, and strengthening their hand because they're going to be asked to do different things with different fingers frequently. So that's a way that those finger plays also increase fine motor skills. So the other way we're going to work on fine motor skills with our kids this week is we are going to make a duck's head out of some torn paper and a paper plate. It looks a little bit like Big Bird. I'm not sure if Big Bird's a duck or not, but we're going to go with it. So that's our activity. And to help the kids do that, what you're going to need is a paper plate, any size. This one's actually a little more molded than is ideal. Something flatter might be better. Any size that works for you. I used a little bit of white construction paper for the eyes, a little black for the pupil of the eye, and orange for the beak. If you don't have construction paper, you can just use any kind of paper. If you don't want to cut out another eye here and for the pupil, you can have your child color a pupil on the eye. If you don't have orange for the beak, you can just have your child color some paper orange. And when I did the beak, the easiest way to do that, I just folded up some paper about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, and then just on the fold, I just cut out a triangle. So that gives you your little flappy beak that you can have your child can glue on later. The other thing is that if your child is not a cutter yet, the main thrust of this exercise is not the cutting. They can cut out the eyeball. I just used a spice bottle to just trace some circles, and then I actually used my glue stick to trace around for my pupils. If your child wants to cut that out and they're okay at cutting, that's fine, but we're not really worrying about cutting today. So if you want to just cut out the eyes and have them ready, and the beak for the child to do the gluing, the tearing of paper and the gluing is really the main focus of this exercise. I used yellow tissue paper to make the duck's feathers for the duck's face. If you have white tissue paper, that's just as good. There's lots of white ducks. And if you don't have tissue paper, just regular paper is fine. Anything that the child can tear. And the child is going to be in charge of tearing. You can cut the eyes if you want and the beak, but the child's job is going to be tearing. And the reason tearing is a really good exercise for fine motor skills is that, once again, they're going to be using that pincer grip. They are going to be using the three fingers that do executive function on on each hand, actually, and tucking away those two on the ulnar side that don't really need to do as much work. And importantly, also, they're going to have to use both hands together in order to tear the paper. It doesn't matter what size they tear. It doesn't matter what shape they tear. These are going to be duck feathers, so however they want to tear it is fine. They're going to be using both their hands together, so that's bilateral coordination. And they're going to be using those fingers, strengthening them, and also just getting more dexterous with them. So I would have them just do their tearing first, just gather up a bunch of little torn pieces of paper, and then either using a glue stick, or if you don't have a glue stick, even a bottle of glue is fine too. The glue stick, if you can have the child twist the top off and then twist the bottom up to get the glue to come up. Same thing if you're using liquid glue, have the child untwist the top and the child squeeze the glue, because the squeezing is really good strengthening for their hands, and the twisting is just good practice in fine motor skills. With the glue stick, you want to make sure you put the cap somewhere where younger children aren't going to get at it, so just be careful with that. And I would just suggest putting the glue on the whole plate at one time, and you can refresh it if the child's a little slow getting to it. And then all the child has to do is just place the feathers in any kind of order on the glue. They'll stick, and after that, and I use the purple glue. I kind of like using the purple school glue because glue stick, because it's fun for the kids to see the purple disappear. It also helps them see what they've already applied glue to. And once the tissue's on there, the child can put the face on, and that's it for their tissue paper, torn paper duck. I hope your child has fun with this activity. I hope that you also enjoy doing it with them. And this would be a good week maybe to, when you're out for a walk, take a look overhead to listen for quacks and look for ducks heading south for the winter in the fall. So have a great day, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.